my 2-year residency rule, and after 5 years, I do not feel like going back home. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be talking about the J1 visa. We will be looking at what is the J1 visa, what the application process for J1 visa is like, family members with J1, or should I say J2 visas, and also employment with J1 visas. So stay tuned to the end of this video where you can learn more about the J1 visa. I've been sharing videos on the different pathways on how you can get a teaching job in the United States. And the J1 visa is one such pathway through a sponsor. If you did not watch that video, you can stop right now and watch that video and come right back. Or you can watch it at the end. Also, I've been sharing that there are many J1 sponsors that sponsors teachers to teach here in the United States. I'm also going to clarify different areas that J1 visas can be sponsored for. Before we go any further, if you are not familiar with this channel, you want to be a member, because on this channel we provide information to international teachers on different ways they can get a teaching job here in the United States. Also, visa-related topics are shared, and so non-teachers will also be benefiting from these visa-related topics. If you watch my previous video on H1 sponsors, you can learn about some school districts that sponsor teachers' H1B visa, which, as I mentioned, is a dual intent visa that can lead up to a green card. If you did not watch that video, again, you can watch that video and come on back over, or you can watch it at the end. So let's get straight into it in discussing what is a J1 visa. So the J1 visa is a cultural exchange visa and is authorized for people whose intent is to come to the United States to work in specific areas. Some of these areas are professors or scholars, research assistants, students, trainees, teachers, specialists, au pairs, and camp counselors. In carrying out the responsibilities of an exchange visitor program, the Department of State designates public and private entities to act as exchange sponsors. J1 non-immigrants are therefore sponsored by an exchange program that is designated as such by the U.S. Department of State. These programs are designated to promote the interchange of persons, knowledge, and skills in the fields of education, arts, and science. If you are interested in working in one of these areas that was listed earlier, you can always do your research to find different entities, companies, or organizations that sponsor these skill areas to work in the United States. I must add that most J1 visas are issued initially for 3 years. Once you are issued a J1 visa for 3 years, there is a possibility of getting an extension for an additional 2 years. That would make you live and work in the United States for up to 5 years. Also, the J1 visa, though it's an exchange visa, it allows you to take your family members, which include your immediate spouse and children under the age of 21, to live and work as well in the United States. With a J1 visa, you are committed to the J1 sponsor that offered you employment in the United States. That J1 sponsor will provide a contract that will explain what is it that they are expecting of you, the employee. Also, as a J1, Your family members are allowed the J2 visa. The J2 visa allows them to work and study in the United States. In order for them to work, they will first apply for the EAD or Work Authorization Card. Once their work permit gets approved, they can work anywhere in the United States. Unlike the J1 holder, who can only work for the sponsor, the J2 dependent can work for any company they want to. So you might ask, what is the application process like for a J1 visa? Now, the U.S. Department of State plays the primary role in administering the J1 Exchange Visitor Program. So the first step in obtaining a J1 visa is to submit a Form DS 2019. Now, you, the employee, does not submit that form, as that form is offered to you by your sponsor. The DS 2019 is the Certificate of Eligibility for Exchange Visitor Status. Your sponsoring agency will provide this form to you. So I know someone asked in a previous video in the comment section if they can go to their embassy and apply for a J1 visa. The answer to that would be no if you did not get sponsorship from one of the Department of State approved entities who are allowed to sponsor J1 visas. Once you seek an agency that can sponsor you a J1 visa, you will need to work closely with the officials that are sponsoring your visa so that they can assist you through the process. J1 entities are responsible for ensuring that the employees they take to the United States are following the right steps and pathways to get here. They are encouraged to provide training as well for their J1 holders. So if you have been offered a job by a J1 sponsor, it is their responsibility to ensure that you understand the steps that needs to be taken and take you step by step through these processes, whether through webinars or private calls or meetings. They should be sharing information with you. The person who is issuing a DS 2019 should also explain documents that you will need to submit to your embassy. In order to be a J1 holder, you must possess certain criteria, and that's the responsibility of the J1 sponsor. Your J1 sponsor should know if the area that you are going to be specializing in the United States requires a bachelor's degree, or if it requires for you to be studying at a university with a specific GPA, or whatever documentation that comes under the Department of State laws. Your J1 sponsor should be adhering to those laws and sharing them with you. Once the J1 sponsor is comfortable that you have all that is necessary to be sponsored a J1 visa, and they have issued a DS 2019, it would be now time for you to go to your embassy. So again, for the person who asked in the comment section, you cannot go to your local embassy to apply for a J1 visa without a DS 2019 form, which is called the Certificate of Eligibility, which shows the embassy officials that some company or entity would already done their background checks to see if you are eligible for a J1 visa. So once you have your DS 2019 in hand, this is when you go to your local embassy along with other documentations to get your J1 visa stamp in your book. Now, if you're going for your J1 visa and you're not sure what documents you need to take, you should always ask your program sponsor to assist you with this information. Also, do your own research and make sure to walk with extra documents to be on the safe side. Please note that when you go to your local embassy to apply for a J1 visa, you will still be interviewed. Please do not think that because you have a DS 2019, you will automatically be given a visa. You will be questioned by the embassy officials, and they will ask you questions related to the job you are seeking the visa for. You should be aware of the program sponsor, as well as what areas they are in and how long you will be working for this company. So now that you have your J1 visa in hand, you will enter the United States to work specifically for your program sponsor. Your employment will be authorized by the terms on your contract through the J1 sponsor. Guys, if you have been enjoying this video so far, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and also share it with someone who needs this information. Another thing I want to share about the J1 visa is the 2-year residency rule that it comes with. And this 2-year residency rule is not, or should I say, does not apply to all countries. Some countries have the 2-year residency rule under J1 visa. So if you are approved for a J1 visa, you will check the visa to see what it states on there. It will tell you if you are bounded under the 2-year residency rule. The 2-year residency rule basically says after you complete your role in the United States, whether that be at the end of 3 or 5 years, you will return home and stay there for at least 2 years before re-entering the United States to get another job. But what if I get my 2-year residency rule and after 5 years I do not feel like going back home? There are ways and means of going about this, and one way is by applying for a waiver. In order to be deemed eligible to continue working in the United States, you would need to apply for a waiver, and that waiver should be applied for before the end of your tenure in the United States. Once you apply for a waiver, and if that's something you would like to hear more about, you can put that in the comment section below and I can share more about the waiver. Once you apply for that J1 waiver, you, the primary applicant, will add all your family members' name on the waiver so that all applicants under your employment will also be eligible to be waived of the 2-year residency rule. Once you waive the 2-year residency rule, you can then change status to a different visa and continue working in the United States. Most teachers change from J1 visa to H1B visa, but I'm sure there are other types of visas that you could transfer your status to. So please note, though there's a 2-year residency rule, there are means and ways of going about this rule. Another flexibility with the J1 visa is that you can ask your sponsor to work for a different company. So, for example, you were placed in a school district or a job that you are not comfortable with, your sponsor can always find or encourage you to find a job that is similar to the terms of your J1 visa, and you can continue working with that company. I know for teachers, for example, a teacher may start working at ABC school district, but they're not comfortable at ABC school district. So what that teacher can do is to ask the program sponsor for a transfer to a different school district. You can transfer to a different school district and your sponsor remains the same, but this has to be done through your sponsor. So we have talked so far about what the J1 visa is, how our family members can come here on the J2 visa if we are sponsored a J1 visa, and their eligibility to work if they are granted a work permit. Also, your tenure is governed by the program sponsor, and so feel free to ask all your questions to your program sponsor. Make sure when you get your J1 visa, you check to see if you have 2-year residency rule on your visa stamp. Again, the J1 visa is a cultural exchange visa, which allows internationals to go to the United States to work in different skill areas. If this video was interesting, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and share with a friend. Make sure to turn your notification bells on, and I'll see you next time. Bye.